Archibalds, two Archibalds, and an Alan Archibald.
Hello and welcome to day 8 of our 12 Days of Archie series, admittedly a day late, where we are going to look back on our 3-1 win over Aberdeen in our 2013-14 Premiership season.
On the 5th day of Christmas, when true or good to me, 5 Archibalds!
Marc Wallace is going to start our look back on that game.
2 Archibalds, and an Alan.
It took place in the 22nd of February 2014. We hadn't won at home, but we weren't terrible. Like, we threw away a lot of silly points. I just remember thinking, well, obviously you need to win your home games when you're newly promoted, especially given how close it was, because like we moved up to 25 points with the win in this game, right? And it took us a point above St Mirren on 24. St Mirren lost 2-1 to Ross County that day, who also moved on to 25 points. So like it was bunched together.
One player involved in that match was Stevie Lawless, who spoke to us at the start of the year about his disappointment regarding that season up until that game.
I don't think I actually done that well, if I'm being honest, my first year. I think being a winger and all that, like, you're pretty inconsistent now and again, so I don't think that helped me, if I'm being honest. First year I wasn't really happy with how it went. I still managed to get a few goals. I think it was 5 that year. I think I only played something like 20 games, so still wasn't a bad return, but if I'm being honest, I don't think I initially made the jump as easy as I wished. But as years went on, I felt like I adapted to the levels, because that's quite a jump, if I'm being honest. You don't really think it with the bottom teams in the Prem to the champ, but it's a weekly basis. It's just constant hard games, so it takes a wee while to get used to. If I'm being critical of myself, I don't think I actually made the step up that well the first year.
The Aberdeen side that travelled to Firhill that day were flying high in the league at the time.
This Aberdeen team would go on to win the League Cup just a couple of weeks after this. So like,
aye, it would have been March. It would have been
fucking good Aberdeen team we beat. Even looking at the bench, you had Nicky Weaver on the bench, Declan McManus, is it Dunfermline now, Cammy Smith, Nicky Lowe, Scott Vernon, Calvin Zola, who we don't speak of in this house.
That season, that's before I started going to really away games. That season, I'd only started going to away games season after this, but the 3-1 game at Aberdeen, I remember we hadn't, because I wasn't going to away games, I still hadn't seen us winning the league all season, and it took us so long.
Second place Aberdeen came to Firhill, and we were all thinking, oh, surely not, we're going to get humped this, we're going to get pumped today, we've not won a game all season.
Looking at our team, like, there's royalty through it. In this team, Paul Gallagher in goals, Aaron Taylor-Sinclair left back, you've got Conrad Ballatoni centre back, Higgy, Taylor up top, Erskine, Bannigan, who naturally get booked. Doolan coming on for Taylor at the end. O'Donnell, Lawless, Christy Elliott on the bench. A who's who of the last few years of great Thistle players that we've had and that we've been lucky to have. You get Prince Blabin and Lee Mayer. Lee Mayer was arguably, as much as I talked about how Lyle Taylor's contribution was massive, Lee Mayer's was also an experienced, steady hand in there to help Ballatoni and Muirhead along, and it worked wonders for them. As I mentioned, at home, we conceded a lot of very silly goals. We dropped a lot of silly points. I remember a game we were 3-1 up against Ross County and drew 3-3, in a game where we inexplicably let Philip Kiss run riot. 3-0 to St Mirren, and there was a game against Hibs where we absolutely battered Hibs and we lost 1-0. We were in our games at Firhill, but we weren't getting the results. And the longer that goes on, even with an away record as good as ours, with realistically even a playoff at worst, you have to worry. And getting that result and the one against Hibs the week after was massive. I can't talk it up any more than that.
There was an early scare as Aberdeen were awarded a penalty in the first half, only for Paul Gallagher to produce some heroics to deny them.
Paul Gallagher saving the penalty at Adam Rooney and fucking getting it right up him, because I think he dived, and then I think Paul Gallagher wanted to fucking stick the head in Adam Rooney in that game as well, because I think Adam Rooney backed into Paul Gallagher as well and he wanted another penalty and he didn't get it.
You know, they were a strong team and it was a fantastic result with Ballatoni putting us one goal up. Conor Baltoni did love a goal. We do miss a goal scoring defender.
After Conrad Ballatoni scored for the Jags, Lyle Taylor then added 2 goals. Marc Wallace speaks about his performance that day.
Lyle Taylor ran the game for us that day. Unbelievable. He could have had about 5 or 6 goals. He scored 2. Could have had 5 or 6. This was like Lyle Taylor showing the level he's at now, like in the Championship. He's the only guy that could get near Doolan in terms of our strikers. His importance to us that season, Taylor was tremendously important to how we did that season. And particularly in this game against Aberdeen, he absolutely ragdolled Aberdeen's central defensive pairing. Russell Anderson and Mark Reynolds. Russell Anderson, a very, very good centre-half. You get Mark Reynolds, who was at the sort of peakies thing here.
We went 2-0 up. Aberdeen scored I wouldn't say it was a consolation because they were trying to they threw everything at us after that. And then Lyle Taylor went up and scored an absolute screamer. I think he done a wee step over and then turned to his left and then slammed it into the right hand corner, and it was absolutely mental.
Taylor obviously got the double. I mean, he should have got a hat trick that day. He could have had 3-4 goals that day. I remember he missed a huge chance when he was in on goal after a player wiped out Higgy and the ball just kind of rolled through to him, and he just had to put it past Langfield, but he got like his foot to it.
Even after that, they looked pretty dangerous, and I thought we were going to get pumped. And then I remember they brought on Calvin Zola that game, and I was like, oh fuck, he scored. I think he scored like 5 again. He was an absolute dud as well when he only scored against us. And Calvin Zola came on. I was like, oh fuck, here we go. This is a Calvin Zola hat trick. We're going to lose a game in it. But no, we won the game.
Could have went behind. We didn't. We went 2-0 up, then immediately went about trying to throw the game away because we went 2-0 up and Aberdeen went straight up the park and scored. And then obviously Lyle rounds it off. He could have had about 5 or 6. We should have absolutely mauled Aberdeen that day. And that was the time I sort of felt like we finally belong here because we'd beat Hearts. We'd go on to beat Hibs. We beat Aberdeen, Motherwell, Dundee United. You look at the Premiership table at the time. Aberdeen were second in the league at the time. They were a good bit behind Celtic and only 1 point ahead of Motherwell, 7 points ahead of Dundee United and Inverness. But the top 6 in that league were out of sight. Like St Johnstone were 6th and 32. They were only 7 points behind us after this win. But the top 6, the top sides in that league were out of sight, and we'd now taken points off Aberdeen, off Motherwell, off Dundee United, off Inverness, off St Johnstone. We'd got results against all of them.
It was a great day. It was a fantastic result, and I just remember at full time, Higgy just picking up the ball and booting it into the crowd, and just the relief and the look in the player's face. He finally got that win at Firhill.
Thistle followed this home win up with another against Hibernian a few weeks later with the same 3-1 scoreline.
It was just and obviously we did it I think 2 weeks later we won again at Firhill. There was a draw at Ross County, I think, between away and Dingwall, and then we won again against Hibs.
Because this is the first sort of season I was going to games, and I'd always been interested in Scottish football, but I'd had a break of not really following it that much for several years and stuff like that.
No.
And I didn't really appreciate how bad we are against these sort of big teams at the time, if you know what I mean. Going now, if we were playing Aberdeen, Hearts or Hibs, I'm kind of hopefully we'll get a draw or something like that. But at that time I didn't really think of it as it's just another team, unbeatable Thistle. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You're so unpredictable. I think because you're on the high of the Championship and stuff like that, I went in a bit naive thinking, we can hold our own. With the Hibs game and the Aberdeen game as well, I remember vividly the last 10-15 minutes of all the other fans who had been so beaten down for years and years of just, never really quite matching up to these teams and kind of losing out in heroic fashion and falling on a sword and all that. And I remember everyone just around me, you could feel it off them going, please, for the love of God, please don't fuck this up.
Fuck it up, aye.
The Hibs game was a strange one because we were another game we were in control of, but nearly contrived to throw it away. It was our games against Hibs that season. That was not that was a bad Hibs team, and we still let them off the hook at least twice. Erskine's goal was fucking lovely, a brilliant passing move, and then it get cut back to Erskine, took a touch and smashed it into the top corner. It was a lovely, lovely goal. I always remember that. Doolan did make it 2-0. Duncan Watmore made it 2-1. I remember thinking, oh shit, because I had actually been that much of a saddle to have watched Duncan Watmore play for Altrincham, where Sunderland signed him from. He was very much like an English version of Erskine. He's like one of those guys who could take a game by the scruff of the neck, and just a really entertaining player to watch, technically gifted, eye for goal. And then he gets on the score sheet and you're thinking, oh shit. Because we'd done this before against Hibs. We'd let them back in it. We ended up paying for it. But luckily we get the break right at the end. I just remember shouting, go on! I was full on Mrs. Doyle. If you can imagine Mrs. Doyle in a glass region up the back of the jacket, just gearing it.
I was the exact same as you. I was probably about 5 rows away from you doing the exact same, because before then I had been a bit more of an optimist and just kind of not really get that sucked in. But everyone was so, like you're saying, that I get sucked in, and that became the moment where I was like, we could chuck this away. We need to absolutely scream.
Where you're like, come on!
Absolutely.
It's sweat pouring down your face. You're like, try to will it. Try to use telekinetic power, using your staring. Try to will it into the net. And you're just like, what am I doing?
This is a game I felt I became a proper Thistle fan, and just pure screaming for the terraces for them not to concede and stuff like that. So no, I was the absolute same. Everyone was like that at the game. It was quite wild.
Those two results were massive in keeping us up, those two home wins. So it was just, it was brilliant.
God, I miss the days, man. Actually having the opportunity to talk about these memorable nights where we had so many great experiences. It's a great feeling.
Thank you for joining us on day 8 of our 12 Days of Archie series. At some point, one of the days we'll have 2 episodes out to make up for New Year's Day, which was missed on the 12 days. This episode was narrated by Matt Greer and edited by David Forrest, with contributions from David Forrest, Marc Wallace, Jamie McDonald, Kieran Ashton and Stevie Lawless. Stay safe and wear a mask.